Guys, good to have you with us on a Monday night for a little dog talk as we come in here on UGA Football News on Facebook and Instagram. And we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff going on with the University of Georgia, our football program, and some other items as well related to UGA. And so it's good to have you with us. My producer has given me a stack of stuff here, and I don't know if I'm supposed to go over all of this tonight or not. What is this going to be, like a 4-hour show or something? But we have a lot of news to talk about on this Monday night. Wherever you are, all across the UGA football news spectrum, we're glad to have you with us, whether you're visiting with us on Facebook or on Instagram. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much, all of you who support UGA football news as we're trying to get more of the good news out about the University of Georgia. Here in South Georgia, we had a beautiful day today. Pollen is all around us. I think spring is sprung, but we're going to get, it's not March yet, so we're going to get some cooler weather coming our way. But boy, it's been a beautiful weather day here in South Georgia. I pray that it's been a good day wherever you might be as well. Well, there's a lot of stuff happening in the world of the University of Georgia, the football program, and other programs connected with UGA. So we wanted to come in here and talk a little bit about it, give you the opportunity to respond as well. And, football season never ends, especially when you win the national championship. Have I told you lately that the University of Georgia won the national championship in football in 2021? Do we ever get tired of hearing that? No. So there you go. You might hear it ad nauseum here on our program tonight. And but we've got a lot of things to talk about. So let's get right to it. Matt Luke resigned as the offensive line coach for the University of Georgia last week. He wanted to spend more time, or 2 weeks ago. It's been, I guess it's, about a week ago. Matt Luke said he wanted to spend more time with his family. We understand that. Didn't take another position with another program or at another school. He just kind of stepped aside. Since then, the University of Georgia has been looking for an offensive line coach, and as of tonight, apparently that hire has been made. Kirby Smart has hired Stacy Searles to be the offensive line coach at the University of Georgia. Searles has coached at Georgia before. Searles was the offensive line coach and run game coordinator under former coach Mark Richt from 2007 to 2010. So Stacy Searles is coming back to the University of Georgia, and he will be the new offensive line coach for the Bulldogs. Searles is 56 years of age. He spent the last 3 seasons on Mack Brown's staff at North Carolina. Searles replaces Matt Luke. Stacy Searles is from Tryon, Georgia, up in the North Georgia area. He was an All-American offensive lineman at Auburn, served as a graduate assistant after his graduation at the University of Auburn. Then he coached the offensive line at Appalachian State, Cincinnati, LSU, Georgia from 2007 to 2010. Then he went on to Texas, Virginia Tech, Miami, and North Carolina. That's where he's been the last 3 seasons with Mack Brown on the staff at North Carolina. So Stacy Searles is now the new offensive line coach at the University of Georgia. That hire being made today. I looked on some of the social media sites and some of the talk sites where you can give your opinion. And this hire is being met with kind of mixed reviews. Some are saying, okay, this is good. This is good. Others are saying, what? Couldn't we do better than this? I mean, it's kind of a 50-50 kind of thing. Most people are saying, hey, we trust Kirby Smart. He knows what he's doing. He makes great hires for assistants. And if he thinks Stacy Searles is the man for the job, then we're going to support that. Searles apparently is a very good friend with Mike Bobo. Mike Bobo, of course, back with the University of Georgia as a consultant, and not on the field, but as a consultant for UGA. So Stacy Searles. So what is your opinion on that? If you want to give us a comment, we'd love to have your comment on this hiring Pretty good resume. Doesn't stick around a lot for very long with different programs. Kind of a traveling man. But maybe he's found a home at the University of Georgia, and maybe he'll stick around a while this time. Again, he was at Georgia under Mark Richt from 2007 to 2010. So there you go. We have our offensive line coach, and I think all the coaching positions are now filled. We'll talk about that a little later on. Also coming off the wire this afternoon, Arik Gilbert is reportedly back with the Georgia football team and practicing after he missed last season because of personal reasons. You might remember Arik Gilbert is from Marietta, Georgia. He signed out of high school with LSU, played one season at LSU, and then he transferred to UGA after that one season. He is a former five-star tight end. In 2020, he was one of the best freshmen in the SEC when he played in 2020. He started 8 games, caught 35 passes, 368 yards, 2 touchdowns for LSU back in 2020. So Arik Gilbert didn't play for Georgia this season, personal reasons, and we're not going to delve into what those personal reasons may be. He's a young man, and maybe he had to find his way or something like that, and we can understand that. But the good news is Arik Gilbert is back with the team. He is practicing with the team. Now, official spring practice begins March 15th, but he's out there doing some drills. And so Arik Gilbert is apparently back on the roster with the University of Georgia. And that's good news. He's a talented young man. He is a tight end, but also he is able to play wide receiver. In fact, when LSU in 2020 played Alabama in their matchup, Arik Gilbert played as a wide receiver. So he's a versatile young man, a pretty good receiver, should be a good weapon for the University of Georgia. So there you go. Arik Gilbert back with the UGA. Let's see. Also out of our stack of stuff today, our producer, have you worked on this all day? I mean, you've got stuff here, and we've got to get to it. Georgia fans will have more football to look forward to after the annual G Day game on April the 16th. The USFL, the United States Football League, which was, existed some years ago, is making a comeback. And so the USFL, spring football, is back in business. The USFL will have 8 teams in the league, 8 teams. It will have a 10-game season, or 10 games in the regular season. And then let's see. Anyway, the kickoff is April the 16th at 6:30 p.m. All of the games, it's kind of interesting for the USFL. All of the games will be played in Birmingham, Alabama, at Legion Field. So all the games of the USFL. You might remember the USFL debuted back in 1983, and Herschel Walker signed out of Georgia to play in the USFL. So the USFL begins, United States Football League begins April the 16th. It'll have a 10-game, 12-week season. The kickoff for the first game will be 6:30 p.m. April 16th. And all of the games are going to be played in Birmingham, Alabama at Protective Stadium or Legion Field. Apparently, both of those stadiums are available. So, what is Protective Stadium? Is that the same as Legion Field, just a different name? Okay, you'll find out. So, and by the way, the USFL is a football league that has the backing of the NFL. It's not like a competition kind of thing, but it's a the NFL is kind of backing the USFL, kind of putting some resources into it and backing it. So there you go. For that, we get a question. How about the new D-line coach? What do you know about him? Well, we talked a little bit about Stacy Searles. He's been around, had been a coach he played for Auburn in college, was an All-American offensive lineman, coached in several places, coached at Georgia 2007 to 2010, back with Georgia pretty good resume, and Coach Smart really likes him. Now, I'll tell you this, and this is kind of, scuttlebutt around that Kirby Smart actually offered the job to the current Baylor offensive line coach. Mateus, I believe it was his name, actually offered him the job, and that gentleman decided to stay at Baylor. And so Stacy Searles, he's been hired by Georgia. He may not have been the first choice for Kirby Smart, but Plan B. So there you go. But the jury will be out, and so we'll see. Yeah, pretty good recruiter. He has developed some offensive linemen into being All-Americans and that kind of thing. So anyway, back to the USFL. They held their draft, and some former UGA players will be playing in the USFL. The Houston Gamblers picked wide receiver Tyler Simmons, who played for Georgia in 2019. The New Jersey Generals drafted defensive tackle Toby Johnson. He played for Georgia back in 2014. The New Orleans Breakers drafted defensive end Davin Bellamy, who played for Georgia back in 2017. The Philadelphia Stars picked defensive tackle Michael Barnett. He played for Georgia in 2019. The Tampa Bay Bandits drafted offensive tackle Tyler Catalina, who played for Georgia in 2016, and John Atkins, defensive tackle, who played for Georgia in 2017. The other three teams in the new USFL are the Birmingham Stallions, the Michigan Panthers, and the Pittsburgh Maulers. That's so you got what? Yeah, I know. You got the Gamblers, you got Houston Gamblers, New Jersey Generals, New Orleans Breakers, Philadelphia Stars, Tampa Bay Bandits, the Birmingham Stallions, the Michigan Panthers, and the Pittsburgh Maulers. And the season for the USFL begins on April the 16th. And all the games, is this true? All the games will be played in Birmingham. Even though, you got cities with teams, like Philadelphia and Houston, but apparently they're going to play them all in Birmingham. Well, they'll enjoy the South. There you go. Okay. Also in our stack of stuff, okay, I have no Archie Manning or Arch Manning, I'm sorry, update for you. He's still in the process. Word is he's going to visit Georgia again sometime soon. He'll probably make his decision later on in the summer as to where Arch Manning will be playing college football. But I posed a question to one of my acquaintances who's kind of familiar with this kind of thing. And I said, okay, if Arch Manning, he can go to any college he wants to. He could go to ABAC, which is a college near us, kind of a junior college near us, and play for ABAC. And ABAC doesn't even have a football team. I mean, this guy is in such demand. He could go anywhere. Right now, the crystal ball kind of thing is that he might be leaning toward Texas. David Cutcliffe, who is close with Archie Manning and Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, the coach at that Duke, who left Duke. Now he's a consultant with the University of Texas, really close to the Manning family. And so, it may open a door for Arch Manning to go to Texas. That's kind of the scuttlebutt. Anyway, what if Georgia misses out on Arch Manning? So I was talking to this guy and I said, look, you know this kind of stuff. So what's plan B? If we don't get Arch Manning, who can we get? When your team wins the national championship, it's a we thing, who can we get? But if they don't win, it's a they thing. Well, who can they get? But I said, who can we get? He suggested two guys that Georgia might be looking at. One of them is Nicholas Amaliva. Now, I probably murdered that name. Nicholas Amaliva. He's a 5-star quarterback from California. He will be visiting Georgia on March the 12th. He also visited Georgia last June. In December, he put out his top 12. He's got 12 colleges that's in his top 12. So he's got a lot of offers, of course. He's a 5-star. Alabama, Oregon, those are the usual suspects. Alabama, Oregon, Tennessee, very strong. Um, so Nicholas Amaliva, he's a 5-star quarterback out of California. He may be, the second shot for Georgia, the second choice for Georgia if they miss out on Arch Manning. Another quarterback alternative is Dylan Lonergan. Lonergan of Snellville, Georgia. Dylan Lonergan. He is currently the number 4 rated quarterback in the 2023 class, behind Arch Manning, Malachi Nelson, and Dante Moore. He's a 4-star dual sport athlete. And apparently his top schools that he's looking at include Georgia, Georgia Tech, Alabama, Ohio State, and South Carolina. The thing about Lonergan is this: he is a dual sport athlete and he's very good in baseball. And so, there's a question as to, okay, if he comes to like a college, he'll want to play football and baseball, but he may just skip football completely and sign professionally. So who knows? So if we miss out on Arch Manning, 2 names you might want to keep in mind is Nicholas Amaliva and Dylan Lonergan. So there you go. Okay, and other stuff. Athlon Sports, pretty good magazine. When I was a kid growing up, the big football magazine that would come out, with the previews, prognostications, and this kind of thing. And the one everybody wanted to get was Street and Smiths. Do you remember Street and Smiths? Maybe you do. I don't know. But they would come out and they would have all of the, information about the schools and the conferences and that kind of thing. Well, Athlon Sports apparently now that's the big deal now. That's the big magazine now. And so they did some kind of study kind of thing. What they did, they went back and looked at the last 4 recruiting classes, and then those players that are returning to different colleges, and they came up with what they consider to be the top college football rosters. We're talking about the rosters. These are the top college football rosters from A to Z, top to bottom for the 2022 season. Number 10, they have tied Florida and Penn State. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 8, Oklahoma. Number 7, LSU. Number 6, Texas A&M. These are the rosters now, the top rosters. Number 5, Clemson. Number 4, Texas. Number 3, Ohio State. And tied for number 1, Alabama and Georgia. So Athlon Sports says, the top rosters, talented rosters from A to Z, top to bottom. They're saying, Georgia and Alabama for the 2022 season are tied with the best rosters. So there you go. Sepp Straka, SEPP Straka, Sepp Straka. I like golf. Like to watch golf. Like to play golf. Not very good at golf. I have a PGA bag. It says PGA on it. My golf bag. It says PGA on it. Doesn't stand for Professional Golfers Association. It stands for Pitiful Golfer Association. I'm part of that. But I enjoy it. I enjoy getting out and hitting the ball and having a good time. And the thing that keeps you back going is every now and then you'll accidentally hit a good shot. And then when you hit a good shot, you say, I can do this. I can do this. And you keep going. Anyway, Sepp Straka, former Georgia golfer. There you go. One of the former Georgia golfers on the PGA Tour won the Honda Classic on Sunday. Stratka is originally from Austria. He and his family moved to Valdosta, Georgia, and he and his brother played golf for the University of Georgia. Well, congratulations to Sepp Straka. That's a pretty big win to the Honda Classic. That's, pretty big deal. And so Sepp Straka won the golf tournament this past Sunday, 10 under. He is the 14th Georgia player to win on the PGA Tour. He played for the Bulldogs from 2012 till 2016. He earned all SEC recognition his final year as the Bulldogs won the conference title in golf that year. So congratulations to Sepp Straka. What? Yeah, My producer and I were talking earlier today about, you know, casual meetings of famous people, unplanned meetings of famous people. Um, turn around and all of a sudden you're face to face with somebody who's got some notoriety, maybe somebody famous. Now, I've had the, privilege of meeting some presidents, shaking hands with presidents, but it wasn't like a one-on-one kind of thing. It was a planned thing in a crowd and that kind of thing. I think 2 vice presidents. Anyway, so, obviously, those people are people of notoriety. Um, but the unplanned meeting, the best unplanned meeting that I've ever had with anybody of notoriety, years ago, back in the 1970s, I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I was on the radio. I was a broadcaster. Back in those days, you had to get an FCC license to be a radio announcer, a third class operator's license. If you're an old DJ like me, you remember the third class operator's license. And so, I studied for the test. I drove to Atlanta and was going to take the test, FCC test in Atlanta. Got up there the night before and got a motel room at the old Marriott in downtown Atlanta. No longer standing there. And so I was in the old Marriott in downtown Atlanta, and I got on the elevator on my floor to go down to the bottom floor, and 2 guys got on the elevator with me off of my floor, and one of them was Jack Nicklaus. Yes, he was in Atlanta to play for the old Atlanta Golf Classic. Jack Nicklaus and a guy by the name of Dave Hill, who was a golfer. And it's kind of funny because they had name tags on with their name. I guess they was going to some kind of reception or thing. And I'm thinking, Jack Nicklaus doesn't need a name tag. Everybody knows Jack Nicklaus. And so there I am in the elevator with Jack Nicklaus and Dave Hill. And, I was kind of shocked that I said, wow, what am I going to say? And I said something very profound that I'm sure Jack Nicklaus never forgot. I said, "You're Jack Nicklaus, aren't you?" And so he said, "Yes, I am." And yeah, but he was very friendly. And we got down the elevator down to the bottom floor, and I just followed him around. I just, he probably thought I was a stalker. That's Jack Nicklaus. And I just followed him around. He finally went to the barbershop there in the old Atlanta Marriott Hotel and got him a haircut. So I left him alone. Yeah. Well, it's a golf related story. Okay. Um, I know. Let's see. Well, beyond football, Georgia's baseball and softball teams had a really good weekend. We love all Georgia sports. We love all Georgia sports. Do we have a Tiddlywinks team? And I tell you one thing I got to go to. I got to go to an ice dog game. We have a hockey team. The University of Georgia has an ice hockey team. And I've got to go to one of those games. I mean, I got to go to one of those games. Anyway, over the weekend, and we love all Georgia sports. Do we have a Tiddlywinks team? We Does anybody play Tiddlywinks anymore? Kids, if you don't know what that is, Google it. Anyway, over the weekend, Georgia baseball and softball programs had a great weekend. The Georgia baseball team had an undefeated weekend. Coach Scott Strickland's number 15 Diamond Dogs swept Akron, 3-game set with Akron. And first-year softball coach Tony Baldwin saw his 15th ranked Bulldogs win the three-team Georgia Classic, wins over Bryant College and North Carolina on Saturday. So our baseball team, the Bulldog baseball team and softball team, undefeated weekend. You go Dogs. And so we'll kind of try to keep you updated and all of that. The men's basketball. Does everybody make the SEC tournament in men's basketball? The SEC tournament? Does everybody get to play, or are you eliminated? Boy, the men's basketball team having a tough time. The ladies doing pretty good, and they'll be in the NCAA tournament probably. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on all kind of stuff. And golf. Yeah, our golf team. Is that started yet? Okay. Now, saw this story, kind of interesting. You know, I had the opportunity to go to, some Georgia games last year. Love it. Love the atmosphere. Not really crazy about the traffic and the parking and the walking, but that's a part of it, right? That's a part of it. If you go to Sanford Stadium or any stadium, you're gonna have to walk and all that kind of deal. You're gonna have to do that. But I enjoyed it. I love it. Love the atmosphere. Enjoyed it very much. Like to froze to death one Saturday, but that's another story. Kind of interesting. A story came out today. Last season, college football attendance declined. Attendance to college football games declined for the seventh straight season to the lowest average attendance since 1981. Huh. Last season marked the seventh straight year and the ninth year in the last 10 years that attendance to college football games on campus in the stadium has declined. The per game national decline of 1,629 fans in 2021 is the steepest ever. Now, they didn't keep attendance records or don't count 2020 with the COVID year. So they're comparing this year, 2021 to 2019. They kind of skipped over 2020 because it was that weird COVID year. But more than half of the teams in the final AP Top 25 saw attendance declines, including 8 out of the top 10. For the seventh consecutive year, a majority of FBS conferences, 7 out of 10, saw a decline in attendance. For the 23rd consecutive year, the SEC led the country in attendance with 72,195 fans per game, but the SEC also saw a decline for the fifth consecutive year in average attendance. And so attendance to college football games is, it's on a declining kind of trajectory. Now Georgia lost, attendance last year, 71 fans a game. So Georgia's, attendance figures from 2019 to 2021 dropped only by 71 fans per game. Michigan had the highest average attendance for any college and college football, Michigan, and they do it every year. Their stadium holds like 9 million people. I mean, how many people? That thing up there they got, my word. So they always lead the attendance. But the attendance to college football is in the decline. And the question is, why? Why? Well, COVID, probably has something to do with it. The uneasiness of some people being in a crowd and that kind of thing. But also the speculation is that the average age of fans who go to games is actually getting older, not younger. And so some of the people as they get old, they say, I don't want to fight all that traffic. I don't want to do all that. The rigmarole you got to go through to get in the stadium. I'll just give me a 70-inch TV, high definition 4K, and give me some popcorn and a good recliner, and back up and get me a Mountain Dew or a Pepsi and watch the game, and not have to fight all that stuff on campus. And then younger people may not be as interested in going to the stadium. There's all kind of speculations, but attendance to college football has declined. Now, if you've never attended a college football game, the first college football game I ever attended was in Oxford, Mississippi. I was attending college at a college in Oxford, Mississippi. And I got tickets to go see the University of Georgia. This was back in the late 70s. To see the University of Georgia play Ole Miss on campus at Oxford, Mississippi. That was the first college game I ever saw in person. Georgia came in the number 3 team in the country. Ole Miss not ranked. Ole Miss beat them one up one side and down another. It was a big I was bragging to everybody. I'm going to say Georgia, they number 3 in the country. Y'all ain't got a chance. And then Ole Miss just destroys Georgia. That was a Vince Dooley team. But if you need to go to a college football game, and you need to go to one in Athens, when they say Saturday is special in Athens, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they mean what they say. It is a special deal to go see a football game at the University of Georgia. So there you go. So the attendance is coming down, and you know we don't know why, but just hang in there with Georgia. Okay, the Athletic is a media site. They do kind of it's an online media site. The Athletic cover a lot of sports. Very good publication. They have a great Georgia section. They have a great Georgia section and SEC section at the Athletic. It's online. I don't get any. I don't, and not endorsing them or anything like that. But I like to go. Hey, Mary Grace checking in, and what's up? Yeah, it's good to have you check in. So anyway, the Athletic is a very good online site. Well, they did some surveys, just fun surveys. They said, okay, they put out this thing and said, we want your opinion. And it was, not like a scientific kind of thing or anything. Anybody could participate. They just wanted to see how fans would respond. They did an SEC fan survey. It was kind of interesting. And they asked several questions. And one of the questions is this: what is your favorite team? In the SEC, what is your favorite team? This is the SEC fan survey. And it's interesting. In the survey that they did, and this is all over the SEC, the favorite SEC team that was named was the University of Georgia. 37.8% of those responding said Georgia was my favorite team. Alabama was second with 8.3%. Now, it's a non-scientific thing, and you got to feel like Georgia fans may have flooded this deal. But according to this just fun SEC fan survey, Georgia is the favorite team in the SEC among fans, followed by Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Texas A&M, Kentucky, and on. Then they asked the question, who will win the SEC East in 2022? This is the fan survey from the Athletic. 94.6% said Georgia will win the SEC East in 2022. 2.1% said Kentucky, and then followed by Florida and Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. Then they asked the question, who will win the SEC West in 2022? 89%, almost 90% said Alabama, followed by Texas A&M, Arkansas, LSU, and Ole Miss. Then they asked the fans, these are SEC fans, they said, rate your happiness with your coach between 1 and 10. 10 is happy, 1 is we want him gone, right? So rate your happiness with your coach. And you don't have to identify your coach. Just how happy are you with your coach at your university? 56% had a 10. They said, we love our coach. 56% said, we give our coach a 10. We love him. Followed by 15% had an 8, 14% 9, and there you go. And then they asked, what is the most underrated coach? Who is the most underrated coach in the SEC? This is just a fun survey. The Athletic media site did it. They just asked me, it was not scientific. Just have fun with it. Who is the most underrated coach in the SEC? And the first choice by far is Mark Stoops from Kentucky. I don't know if I would agree with that, because if, in my eyes, he's one of the best coaches in the SEC. I don't think he's underrated. I think most people understand this is a good football coach who is very loyal to his university, who's had the opportunity to go other places, maybe with other resources, but he's staying with Kentucky and is bound and determined to build Kentucky into a good football program, and he's done that. He wants to bring them to the next level to compete with Georgia, and we understand that. But Mark Stoops was chosen as the most underrated coach in the SEC. Sam Pittman was next, Shane Beamer, followed by Josh Heupel. Then they asked the question, who is the SEC's most overrated coach? Well, the most overrated coach turned out to be Jimbo Fisher by 36%. They said Jimbo Fisher is he's not what he appears to be. He's an overrated coach. Jimbo Fisher, followed by Brian Kelly. 18% chose Brian Kelly. New coach at LSU is the most overrated coach. Then Mike Leach, he was third as the most overrated coach in the SEC. Now I love Mike Leach. I like him. I like that gunslinging stuff. I don't want him to beat Georgia, but Georgia will play Mississippi State in the coming season. I like him though. Let's throw the ball and let's have at it. Lane Kiffin followed Mike Leach and Josh Heupel. These are the overrated coaches. Kirby Smart made he was named 2.8% named Kirby Smart as the most overrated coach, which is nothing. Jimbo was 36%. Then they asked the question, which first-year coach will have the most success? 60% chose Brian Kelly out of LSU. 40% chose Billy Napier. Most people think Brian Kelly will have a better first year with LSU than Napier at Florida. I don't know. Not really crazy with the Brian Kelly hire. Some people are really high on him and thinks he's going to do a great job. And he might do a great job at LSU. I've just never been a Brian Kelly fan. I don't know. Nothing against him personally, just okay. Then the question was asked, what is the right size for the college football playoff? How many teams should be in the college football playoff? Now, it's been announced that the college football playoff will stay at 4 teams through 2024. Okay, no changes through 2024. But it's pretty well assumed that starting in the 2025 season, there will be a change. There'll be more teams in the college football playoff, in the playoff system. The question was asked, what is the right size for the college football playoff? 34% said 12 teams should be in the playoffs. Almost an equal number of people said 8 teams should be in the playoffs. 17% said 4 teams. 7% said 6 teams should be in the playoffs. 2% said only 2 teams. Let's just go back to the 2. Let's forget the 4. Then the question was asked, how many conference games should the SEC play? Currently, SEC teams play 8 conference games a season. Then they play out of conference, games out of conference. So currently, SEC teams play 8 conference games. 60% said we should add 1 to play 9 in this survey. 33% said 8's good enough. And the 6% said we should add 2. 2 should be added to the schedule, 2 SEC games, and the SEC teams should play 10 conference games. Okay. Then the question was asked in this is an SEC fan survey from The Athletic. How do you feel about players monetizing their name, image, and likeness, NIL? 61% said they were all for it. 28% said, I don't really like it, but it's okay that it's happening. 3% said it was unsure. And then they did a Georgia fan survey, and we'll run over this quickly. A Georgia fan survey. 1,271 responses to this survey. They just asked Georgia fans these questions. Now, think about these questions and how you would have answered. What best describes your feelings on how Georgia coaches handled the quarterback situation? In 2021, 46% said, well, not sure, don't know enough about the situation. 40.5% said Georgia handled the quarterback situation in 2021 perfectly. Stetson Bennett led the team to the national title. 13% said Georgia did okay, but JT Daniels would have led the team to the title as well. Oh, okay. In the Georgia fan survey, the question was asked, who should start Georgia's 2022 season as quarterback? Who should be the quarterback for Georgia in the season opener for 2022? 83% said Stetson Bennett, 8% Brock Vandergriff, 6% said somebody else. 7/10 said Gunnar Stockton, 2% said Carson Beck. Then the question was asked, who should be Georgia's starting quarterback at the end of the 2022 season? 49% said Stetson Bennett, 34% said Brock Vandergriff. Let's see. What is your confidence level that Georgia will remain at a championship level the rest of this decade? 55% said totally confident, 41 fairly confident. They asked the question, who is your favorite player on the 2021 Georgia football team? Who was your favorite player? The Athletic asked this of Georgia fans. Who's your favorite player? And the responses were this, and Nakobe Dean was named as the favorite player by most of those responding, followed by Jordan Davis, Brock Bowers, Stetson Bennett, James Cook, Zamir White, Lewis Seen, Nolan Smith, Jamari Saylor, and Ladd McConkey. So most people liked Nakobe Dean. That was their favorite Georgia player. And let's see. What will be Georgia's toughest game in the 2022 regular season? This was a question asked in the survey. 33% feel like the Oregon game on September 3rd will be the toughest game for Georgia next season. That'll be a game played in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz. 22% said the November 5th game versus Tennessee. 22% also said the October 29th game against Florida. 12% said the November 19th game at Kentucky. And then on down the line. And finally, with the hire of Stacy Searles as the offensive line coach. So here's your on-field staff. You can only have 10 coaches on field, according to NCAA rules. So Georgia's on-field coaching staff for 2022, barring any more changes, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach Todd Monken, running back coach Dale McGee, wide receiver Brian McClendon, tight end coach Todd Hartley, offensive line coach Stacy Searles, inside linebacker co-defensive coordinator Glenn Schulman, safety co-defensive coordinator Will Muschamp, defensive line Trey Scott, outside linebackers Chidera Uzo-Deribe, and defensive backs Fran Brown. That's your coaching staff, along, of course, with Coach Kirby Smart. That's your coaching staff for Georgia for the 2022 season. Well, we've had a good time talking stuff about UGA football and other kind of stuff as well. Good to have you with us. Hope you had a good and blessed day today. I forgot to do the countdown until September the 3rd. Remind me to do that next time. Let's do that. And let's post it up there. We have so many days, so many hours, so many minutes, so many seconds until kickoff. There you go. G-Day, the spring practice for Georgia football starts March 15th. G-Day games April 15th. USL football starts April 16th. Stuff's coming. It never stops. Thank you for being with us on UGA Football on Facebook and Instagram. We love you guys. Thank you, all of our Facebook friends. Thank you, all of our Instagram friends, for joining us. We hope you have a good and blessed night tonight. Join us again next time as we come back and talk more about those dogs. Until then, we always close out with this word